I went to this wonderful place this week. I get these emails coming, ADMAC this, ADMAC that, but I never had the opportunity to actually go and see what ADMAC was all about. And I was so thrilled to actually be there and to see some of the products that are on the shelf, and I know that you're going to be seeing me more. I'd like to introduce you to the owner and the managing director of ADMAC, Ruth. Ruth, thank you so much for coming to the Dolor Factor.
Thank you for having me, Delia.
You know, when we spoke and I realized where you were coming from, I was just like, wow, wow. Yeah. Because all too often, people see establishments that are thriving, and even if it's not thriving, the appearance of it being thriving, and everyone thinks, oh, they just had some money and they just put it together, and it's not like that.
No, not
you really
all.
have to have some passion and some hard turf to do what you do.
Thank you.
So, for the benefits of our viewers, can you tell them about you in terms of how your passion started and why ADMAC started?
Yes. Well, strangely enough, Delia, my passion started with a strong dislike for food. That may sound a little strange, but that's how it happened.
Is that why you remain slim?
That's part of the reason, yes. And when I grew up, I never liked eating because I always found that the food that was presented to me was just not what I wanted. And I used to dream about just having a pill that I could pop that would just keep me satisfied rather than having to go through the ordeal of eating. But as I got older and I started to travel, I realized there was a world out there that presented all different types of cuisine. And I started to say, so there's this out there. So maybe there's an opportunity for me to experiment. So I started to experiment with restaurants and buying food and so. And that's how my interest and love for food became very evident. And as time went on, I decided, I really enjoy being in the kitchen. I really enjoy, I find it very relaxing actually. For me, it's not a chore because that's the time I get to think, and that's the time I get to, to just relax and have fun. And that's how the interest in food started for me. Yes.
Because your day job wasn't food, was it? In those days?
In those days, no. My day job was, I was a business consultant, a small business consultant for the USAID OAS project. So I went around the Caribbean teaching young people how to start their businesses. That's what I did, and I said, but I'm here teaching everybody how to start. Why don't I start? So as soon as my contract was finished, then I put my efforts into getting myself into a business. And actually, I've always wanted to be my own, as they call it, my own boss, as people say. But it is something that I really feel that I was born to do. And for me, it's not a job because I love it. I love what I do. And that is one of the key factors to anyone who wants to get into business. The first thing is that you have to enjoy what you do, and it should not feel like work. So when people see me working hard, they think, oh, she's working. I love it. I enjoy it. So it's part of me. It's second nature.
Wow. So how did ADMAC start? Because you said, yes, you were going to go into business, but did you know that is what you were going to do?
No, I didn't at the time. When I came back to St. Lucia in about, I think, 1992, and before I would come home very often just on vacation. And I tried to get a sense of what was happening, knowing I was coming back to St. Lucia. I tried to get a sense of what was happening on the island. And I realized that the tourism industry was an industry that it had become almost our main industry then. And so I decided, well, there's the niche. I probably need to focus on that segment of the market. So I did some research, and I realized that there was a niche market for specialty foods, because back then you saw nothing of that around. And so I went into it a little more deeply, and I realized, yes, there was a niche. And I had a friend I lived in Beckway at the time, in the
beautiful
Grenadines, and I had a friend whose family actually manufactured and produced dairy products, cheese. So we spoke, and then the interest perked, and I came back home, and then we decided, okay, he would be his family would be the supplier of the product for us, and that's how we got started.
Wow.
He was more of a silent partner in the beginning, but later on he became a little more involved and would, so I did get some help, I mean, I didn't do it all on my own in the early days, but I think I was the main, you know, pusher for the business back then.
So you started with cheese, and then it developed into so many different things that you now bring in, specialty foods that you bring into the island. Of course, you have your family involved as well, which is a really lovely thing to do. So when we come back from the break, we're going to be introduced to one of Ruth's sons, and also he's going to take us through some of the products that are available here in St. Lucia. So don't go away.